your program might say Max Finlayson doing an introduction. Well, I'm not Max Finlayson, so don't ask me any tricky questions about the Murray-Darling Basin Plan or anything like that, okay? But I'm Adrian Lindner, the head of the Wagga Wagga campus of Charles Sturt University. So welcome along this afternoon, and also I would like to give you a welcome to country, to Wiradjuri country. So we pay our respects to the elders past, present and future, for they hold the tradition, the memories and the customs of Aboriginal people. I'll just give you a bit of a scenario. It's a rural scenario. You've got land degradation, weed infestation, crop disease and rust in the wheat. Sounds like maybe this year, last year, pretty recent times. In fact, it was in 1890 that was happening. The colony of New South Wales was still fairly young by that stage, and that was the scenario. Anyway, the government had vision, and they said they need to do something about it. And they set up what they called experimental farms. And one of them they set up in 1892 was just over the hill here, the Wagga Wagga Experimental Farm. And in those days, that was very strategic and applied research. They had to educate, they had to develop new ways of cropping, new ways of land management. And William Farrer, you might remember him from your $2 note. He was a researcher who did quite a bit of work over the hill at the Wagga Wagga Experimental Farm. And so that really set the scene from 1892 for this campus, this location here. We went on to become the Wagga Agricultural College, and then later on the College of Advanced Education, and only 22 years ago a university with other campuses at other cities. So although I've only been a university for 22 years, Charles Sturt University has in fact roots, deep roots in strategic and applied research, and that's what we continue, and that's what we are proud of as a university. You won't see us doing pure research or blue sky research. We're not looking for life on Mars or anything like that. We're very conscious of making our research practical and pragmatic, that will make a difference to our regions, to our communities, to the nation. And that impact is becoming more and more recognised. We've recently completed, actually on the other side of the hill again, the site of our Wagga Experimental Farm, a national life science hub. And that's a $40 million facility, which is teaching and research space, laboratory, teaching rooms, and it's mainly about plant science, animal science, biosecurity, and food security, and biomedical science, and also looking at the interaction between animal science and human health. For instance, Hendra virus, it's an issue for the equine industry, but it's got ramifications for the human health as well. So our regional research has significant flow-on effects to our nation, but also internationally. We have a number of partner research collaboration MOUs with international universities. Particularly China is very much interested in what we're doing in relation to agricultural science. And so I guess the little region of Riverina, of Wagga, is making a difference. And on that note, I introduce you then to our topic for this afternoon, which is reimagining the future of regional Australia. And it's hosted by the Regional Australia Institute, and we thank them for organising this workshop this afternoon. We have a number of researchers in our audience, community people. And so I trust this afternoon's workshop might be an opportunity just to, I guess, refocus, celebrate what we've achieved, but maybe it's time for a new watershed of direction, a new focus for the future, and particularly what regional Australia and our research can do for our nation. I'd like to now welcome our first speaker for this afternoon. I don't think Professor Sandra Harding needs any introduction. She's a long history in the higher education sector. She's currently chair of the Regional Australia Institute for the Research Advisory Committee and also on the RAI board. So I'd like to welcome Professor Sandra Harding. If you could join me please in welcoming her.
Thank you very much, Adrian. Really appreciate that. And can I say thank you to each and every one of you for coming along today. It's our great privilege to be here. You may or may not be aware that this is our first birthday, the Regional Australian Institute's first birthday. So we had an AGM this morning and we had a community consultation forum as well this morning downtown. And here we are at Charles Sturt University and really delighted to be here. And when we thought about where we wanted to celebrate our first birthday, you know, where else but Wagga, as far as we're concerned. So here we are, and we're very grateful to you all for coming along. Now, my very pleasant duty is to fill you in a little bit about Regional Australia Institute, but more particularly to let you know a bit about our research activity, our approach and the key themes that we're pursuing in terms of that research. And one of the things that we really do welcome is your input into this. And as you'll hear as I speak very briefly, there are opportunities indeed for you to engage, and we're very hopeful that you'll take advantage of those opportunities. Now, Jack, I can't see what I'm seeing here. Is that a problem? I'll just have to turn around and make sure that it's on the right screen. All right, so I just mucked it up then. So let me go back. Yes. Oh, no, I should go beyond that. So, let me go to this first slide. It's very important that you do understand a little bit about what the Institute's all about. We know that there are many voices in this space, but the Institute was established, as I say, over a year ago, and the initiative behind the Institute was the agreement between the Gillard government and the independents for there to be a regional policy development centre. And as this idea further developed, the notion was that what we needed in Australia was a truly independent institute. We've got a lot of research institutes and a lot of work going on, and we think that's of great benefit and great value. But the notion is to try and draw together something which is truly independent, and therefore it's been set up as a separate organisation, separate from any university or any other body, not beholden to the government, I might say as well, with a board that features a number of really interesting people. I'm very fortunate to join them on that board. But the Institute itself, the vision, as you can see there, what we see is about enabling all regions to achieve their potential to the benefit of all Australians. The various words that you can see there, I'll just allow you to read, describe the sort of characteristics that we like to imagine that the Institute will affirm and display over time. Our idea very much is for this to be an independent think tank, a policy place as well. We want that to happen. We certainly want to be identifying solutions to enhance prosperity and sustainability of regional Australia, and we want to foster, I think, very positive discussions about and positive understandings about what regional Australia is and what it has to offer. We imagine that a number of our research areas will be more short-term, although there will be long-term elements in them too, and you'll see some of that fairly shortly. But that's really who we are and what we're about. So perhaps I should share with you then our approach to research, just being sure that that's there. You can imagine if you're going to have an institute of this nature and one that's meant to inform policy, that's also not aimed at trying to replicate the sort of work that's going on, good work that's going on around the place, whether that's in the research communities or in the policy communities. The fact of the matter is, you know, research and understanding, better knowledge is very central, is very much central to our work. Our mission is indeed to inform policy and regional change. We aim to do that by being that authoritative and trusted source, of independent information and policy advice. And we do see that our role is not so much, I guess, to undertake the sort of research that might feature in other places, which will be long-term, looking at big issues. And I'm not saying we're going to be looking only at the little ones, but we're going to privilege research activity that can lend itself to translation and to informing policy practice, because we know there's a real need from that, from the consultations that we've done. Our approach to research from day one really has been, our attempt has been to be very consultative, and certainly towards the end of last year and early this year, we held a number of forums around the place with stakeholders from states, from the research community, from national policy people, from folk from Canberra and elsewhere, in order to help us determine what our research agenda might be. And I must say that we found that most illuminating. And again, you're not going to be surprised if you work in this space. The part of the challenge that was revealed to us was not that there is a dearth of information about regional policy and development, but rather it's very difficult for people to put their hands on it. It's very difficult to be confident about understanding what's out there and then being able to put that to work. And as you'll hear in a little while, one of our first projects, and it's one that Jack Archer will tell you a little bit about, and it's at the bottom of the slide there, is that we've completed a stocktake of regional research. And I think it's come out in a very interesting way, and I'm very pleased to tell you that each and every one of you can have access to the benefit of that research. So our approach to research, as you can see there, is not to replicate. We're not sort of reinventing the wheel, as they say. We are aimed at being authoritative and independent. We are aimed at making a difference in terms of translation and ensuring the products of the research that's undertaken not only builds on what goes before us, but also is easily transmittable to the policy space. Now, as a result of the work that we did, particularly the consultation, and interestingly, as elaborated, I suppose, and informed by the stocktake for research, what we came to is basically 4 themes of areas that we'll be looking at as an institute. What I intend to do now is to take you a slide each through each of those themes, so you get a bit of a sense of that. So the first theme, as you can see there, is about position and potential. And here what we're trying to do is to, as you can read there, develop a clearer understanding of the potential for new growth and prosperity in each region. The key objectives of this theme are, and I'll just read them out to you, they include improving the integration and availability of regional data and information, building a better understanding of the socio-economic situation in different regions and the drivers of change, building a better understanding of the sources of potential for future growth and prosperity in different regional areas, and building an understanding of how we sustain and renew regional communities. This idea of potential, we think, is very important. It's quite fraught too. We had our research advisory committee met yesterday, and there's a great deal of sort of tension in this idea of potential. We're not imagining that things stay the same and that you can, confidently predict the future of any particular region, but really what we're trying to do is to get at some of the preconditions, some of the drivers and the effects that might occur that might help us understand how we give regions a better chance of success rather than a poorer chance of success. So for us, this position and potential is really very important. We've got 2 current projects, and you can see them up there at the moment. The first one we're pretty excited about, the one about understanding regional competitiveness. And what we're looking to do there is to develop a regional competitiveness index. And there's a deal of work that's gone on behind this now, and we're now looking, and we just talked about the project outline and those who are going to assist us to develop this index. And it's going to be one that brings to bear a range of indicators. In fact, I think there's 60-odd indicators that we're looking at this stage. And then the idea is that we'll be able to put those to work, and ultimately you all will have access to data, a data set where you can manipulate those indicators. So I think what we're trying to avoid is an idea of, the number 52 being the right answer, but rather to come to a comprehensive understanding about different regions and where they're located on a range of indicators, but coming to an index all the same. We think that's probably pretty important too. So that's one project which is underway. The next one, which you'll hear a little bit about today, Professor Graham Hugo is one of our fellows and on the Research Advisory Committee, and he's doing some work on population mobility in Australia's regions. And again, today we had a very good discussion of that in the session earlier today, and also yesterday in the work that we've been doing. So that's theme 1, position and potential. Theme 2 is realising opportunity. Now, this is really aimed at trying to arrest the negativity in the discussion that proceeds around regional Australia, and instead focus and generate a much more positive discussion about the opportunities in regional Australia. We're all accustomed to the notions about how difficult it would be, and those of us who live in regional Australia, myself included, understand all that. But what we're trying to do is to really focus on opportunities and think about how we can shift that discussion. And we've talked about that not only through research activities, but perhaps through some other opportunities where we bring people in to talk about opportunities and provide some case studies, and we have those available for you via YouTube maybe, or TED, that sort of thing. As you can see there, what this is about, that new and positive discussion, is about helping us drive understanding about how opportunities for growth and development can translate into tangible benefits for regions. And this is something that we're really wanting to grapple with over the next 12 months. We know that the benefits in terms of realising opportunities, they can flow from many things. We talked today at the early session about water being a benefit here, but also being a challenge as well. When you're in flood, it's a problem. But we talked a lot about human capital too, as well as geography, resources and economic outlooks for particular industries. So theme 2 is realising opportunity. Theme 3 we think is pretty important too. It is one of our 4. And it's about successful transitions. We know that regional areas are sometimes very vulnerable to all sorts of exogenous shocks, whether they're global forces linked to markets, or indeed whether there are climatic challenges that are foisted upon us from time to time. And we know that in many regional areas that feature smaller populations and less diverse industries, those populations in particular can be quite vulnerable. We know that there have been examples of successful transitions globally. We need to be able to learn from those, and part of what we looked at yesterday was there are a range of OECD examples, and of course that includes Canada. Canada's sort of quite a nice correlate for us. I mean, no one's going to replicate our experience, but we're really interested to see how successful transitions have proceeded. And we know that in our country too, we've had some disasters in recent years where communities have been supported to ensure that they can get out of difficult situations, whether that was the fires in Victoria, the floods in a large part really of Queensland and elsewhere in New South Wales, and also Cyclone Yasi up my way. So we know that there have been disasters, of course, and we know there has been committed efforts to try and figure out how communities might overcome those disasters. And what we're really keen to do is to see if we can nail some of that and see how we can understand recovery and how we might be able to aid recovery as a result of those sorts of shifts. But we're not just focusing on natural disasters, even though that's the current project. We all understand that this is a much bigger area of interest. Successful transitions. Theme 4 is about better services and engagement. And here we are looking at ways in which government interacts with regions in particular. We know that there are great challenges, and there are often great shifts in public policy around how services will be delivered, you know, whether it's the local, the hospital boards or Medicare locals, or there are a whole range of policy devices that are applied to regional communities. And the idea is all good and saintly, but I guess the challenge for us all is whether or not we can come to a view about how we might improve service delivery, better services and engagement for regional Australians. And the good news is the governments want this. You know, I think part of the challenge, I think oftentimes for governments, is they're not quite clear about how do we operate in this space, who do we talk to, and how do we go about better understanding what particular regions need, and then how do we engage with them in order to deliver that. So I think this is one that is going to be pretty important for us all too. We are looking to examine the current proposal for reform in local infrastructure. As you can see there, that's the current project. And indeed, the outcomes of that project are going to be released soon. And there are some real highlights linked to some relatively inexpensive reforms that might make a real difference in communities. It's a very practical project, and one that I hope will point a way forward. So those are the 4 themes that the Institute is focusing on for the moment, and they're going to give us, I think, a lot of content to dig into, and we certainly have some projects underway as a result of those. But today I also wanted to share with you something quite new, and I'm hoping that this is something that you too will be interested in engaging with. We're letting you all know today that we have up on our website an opportunity to pitch an idea. We're really hoping that Australians will have a look at this, whether you're a researcher or whether you're just an interested layperson or a policy person, anyone really, anyone with an interest in regional Australia. If you're interested, to go onto the website to pitch an idea, to let us know what you think is a good idea or a good solution or an area that needs to be examined. We're very keen to open this up to broader communities, because today we could come to Wagga and we could go down to the City Council and speak with people, and a number of ideas emerged out of the forum this morning. Clearly there's going to be, and we'll continue to do that, but there's a limit to the extent to which we can get the coverage that we'd like across this vast land of ours. So here's an opportunity for anybody, no matter where you are, to engage and help guide and shape the Institute's research activity. I really hope that this is going to be a source of great innovative ideas, and I think partnerships as well as a result of that. So, ladies and gentlemen, really that was what I had to tell you about today. I wanted to let you know that we are Regional Australia Institute. It is our birthday. I shan't require you to sing happy birthday, but you might if you like. I was particularly wanting to let you know about our research activity to date, and shortly you're going to receive some insights into the content of some of that. And I also wanted to bring to your attention, pitch an idea and encourage you to be involved in that. Thank you very much.